is the crown.
Welcome back to I Am Heavy Cash Podcast with your boy Don Heavy, where we talk about money. Money is the topic, money is the motivation, money keeps her motivated. As Fab said, you already know. We're back in the booth. I've been gone for a couple weeks, but it's all good. We back with you. We here to deliver what you really need, and that's all the topics, all the discussions about money, business, and that other thing, which starts with M. What's it called? Oh, it's called money. More money. There we go. So today, we just gonna talk about private versus public companies, private versus public business. Now, what is private companies? Okay, so private is when all the shareholders are within the institution and there is no capital from the public, from the general public. That is a private institution. And what is a public institution? A public institution or public business, public company, is when shareholders can be within the institution and or the general public. And public institutions are normally on exchanges. They are located on some type of exchange, whether the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, Composite, one of those exchanges, but they're located on an exchange of some sort, so it's easy to track the numbers. It's easy to see appreciation, depreciation of the value of your shares, of the value of your equity, which you can't see that on a private stand base. It's not broken down like that. So what are some of the biggest private companies? Some of the biggest private companies: Cargill. They got annual revenues of about $120.4 billion. That's what's up. That's a lot of bread. What does Cargill sell? They distribute sugar and oil, food, drink, and tobacco. With the annual revenue of $120.4 billion, it seems like they're pretty darn good at it too. So Cargill is a magnificent private company that's been around for about 200 something years now. It's a long time to be around. What's another private company that we might know of? Koch Industries, owned by the Koch brothers. What do they do? Well, they sell oil, they sell fertilizer, but they say industry, so they have a whole bunch of industries, I'm assuming, that has Koch in the front of it, I guess. So they own oil, they distribute fertilizer, they have financial trading institutions, they sell paper. They got a whole lot of stuff with revenues of $115 billion a year. That's a lot of dough, people. A lot of dough, but it's all like the dough feels claustrophobic, I'm assuming, because it's all bundled up within the private stakeholders, which is cool, because if you start a business, then, sometimes you just don't want everybody's hands on your business. Sometimes you don't want other people making a profit off of your good idea. So if that's the case with your public business, then that's cool. I mean, it's your prerogative if it's your business. But let's talk about these public companies now. So you already know private is all the shareholders within the institution, no public capital. What's a public company that everybody knows? Let me think. Seems like it's everybody's favorite company because everybody using the products. I'm using the product right now. A lot of y'all use the product. Y'all line up outside for the product, even though it has the same name, just a different number behind it. And what is it? It's Apple. Apple. What's Apple's market cap? $500 plus billion right now as of May 3rd. $500 plus billion. What is their revenue? $233 billion just for 2015, and it's been going up for the last couple years. What's another public company that everybody knows? Exxon. If you drive a car, or if that's the only corner store that you have. I know in New York we have actual corner stores that are not attached to gas stations, but when I moved to Chicago, there were a lot of gas station corner stores that these were the only corner stores that you could really get to at all times of the night if it's not a CVS. CVS is actually located on the corners, but if you wanted to get to a corner store that was going to be open all night and you can get everything that you needed, including gas, it was normally a gas station. Exxon is another public company, $372 billion in market cap as of May 3rd. Well, let's just say $370 billion as of May 3rd, 2016, with annual revenues of about $259 billion in 2015. That's ridiculous, especially considering that oil hit the sinker ball on them and was super cheap, and which made gas super cheap. Oil went from like $70, $80 a barrel to like 38, 30, 35 what I'm saying? $38, $36 a barrel, $37 a barrel. Yeah. So gas went from 3 something to like $1.99 for some time there, which was cool. Everybody was enjoying that. That actually was really cool. So no hate on that. But that's Exxon. That's a public company right there. So Apple and Exxon, as you can see, the difference between 2 big public companies and the 2 biggest, and we're talking about American, the 2 biggest private companies, you see that there's a big difference, a big discrepancy in between the amount of revenue that each one is able to generate. Now, if we're talking about worldwide private companies, then yeah, those guys in Saudi Arabia with the oil, I'm hearing they got bread. I'm hearing they got like hundreds and hundreds of billion, close to $1 trillion in valuation. So we won't talk about that right now. We're talking about American because I'm talking to my American people. If I'm talking to people worldwide, then I'm talking to you about American companies and American equity, American stock, because we all know that the dollar rules everything. The dollar, the valuation of the dollar pretty much talks to the valuation of the yen, the euro, and everybody else that has any type of monetary policy that's in use. Yeah, the dollar controls all of that. It's the power of the dollar translates to all of that, in case you didn't know. But anyway, what's the major difference besides revenue? Besides the amount of revenue being able to be generated by these companies, what's the major differences between private and public companies? Let's see. Well, public companies, the capital is all in the private shareholders, while public companies, they have a greater access to capital because they have the public's capital. So people like you and I can go and invest in these public companies and we can make money. They'll pay us dividends and things like that. So the access to capital is definitely a major player when you're talking about a business that has to scale. As you can see, Apple has been around way less time than Cargill and Koch Industries, but they have more money than them because they have access to public capital. So a public company can normally generate a lot of money and can become very prosperous in a very short amount of time, way shorter in compared to private companies, because private companies have to do things a certain type of way because they only have private equity. If that makes sense to you, I'm hoping I'm making sense to you right now. This is the first podcast by the Don. Excuse me. This is the first podcast by the Don in some time now, so I'm still getting back into the groove of things. I'm trying to work it. If you can see how I'm using my hands right now, I'm working it. I'm doing the working symbol with my hands. It kind of looks like the Millie Rock, but it's not really the Millie Rock. It's kind of like going in circles, but it's like the Millie Rock mixed with that thing that the people been doing with the Running Man challenge and stuff like that. I like all that stuff. It's kind of funny to me. Anyway, what's another difference between private and public companies? The laws. The laws they have to follow. Now, it has been said that private sector, because they're private, they have stricter laws on the private sector. The government holds stricter laws on private sector than they do on public sector. But we don't know because private sector is not as transparent as the public sector. See, public companies, they have to have all their information available to the public because the public can invest in them. Now, obviously, if you watch Black Market Watch, which I hope you do, if you watch Black Market Watch, then you know that these public guys, they're really smart and they know all the loopholes. They know how to get in and out of all the rules that the government set for them. And the government has agencies that are supposed to govern and police these public companies. But I mean, when money's involved, then the policing aspect gets kind of foggy, if you understand what I'm saying. But public sectors are supposed to have all their information on annual reports, and lawyers read over it, lawyers publish it, and this information is supposed to be factual. And if it's wrong or if it's misleading in any way, the public companies can get in a lot of trouble, as you saw with the whole demise of the financial sector and the mortgage sector of the economy back in 2007, which was bailed out by the public because they're public. So, like I said, when money's involved, the rules get kind of foggy. It's kind of hard to understand, and I'll touch on that right now in my next segment, which is facts in my opinion. Yeah, facts in my opinion. So facts in my opinion, number one, public is worth your while. Why? Because you can go to the store and you can tell the store owner, yo, what's up, dude? I mean, in New York, we got a store called C-Town, which is a grocery store, or another store called Bravo. I don't know how relevant Bravo is today, or C-Town, but I know when I go to Far Rockaway, Queens, shout out to my people in the Rock, when I go to Far Rockaway or when I go to Brooklyn, I'll see a Bravo, I'll see a C-Town, especially on Bedford, right there, like on Bedford and Lafayette. It's a C-Town right there, I believe. My geography be trash sometimes, but either way, public is worth your while. Why? Because if you go to that private store, you go to the C-Town, you go to that Bravo, and you say, yo, I want to become a partner. I want to give you some private equity and let's do the thing together. Yeah, the way the money gets broken down and the way everything gets broken down, it's pretty much their rules. You're just coming into their thing, to their domain, and saying, yo, I want to be a part of this. But it's pretty much their rules, and they can change the rules however they see fit. There will be no vote. There will be no anything unless you come through with a lawyer and like, yo, I want a contractual agreement. I want this, that, and the third. You might scare them when you're coming through, because you're coming through with the big guns that only public companies use. Lawyers and things like that. I mean, if you're smart and if you're in business, you want a lawyer. You want to do things the right way to make sure that everybody is being fair. But normally, public companies are the ones that operate in that fashion. Private companies, they be kind of loose a little bit because they don't have the governing eyes of the SEC and of the FTC looking at them. Fact in my opinion number two, private companies don't get as much help because they do not have as much liability. Public companies get more help because they have more liability. Let's put it into use. Let's give you an example. 2007, all these public companies were bailed out by public tax dollars because they had public interest all throughout their books, all throughout everything that they were doing. They had public interest, public liability. As in the case of Sports Authority, sports authorities filed for Chapter 11 protection, bankruptcy for their company, and they could not reorganize or get things right under that Chapter 11. Now, all the sports authorities are going to close. Sports Authority is a private company. Now, Sports Authority is about to be no more. They are liquidating everything that they have. Thank goodness, because a couple years ago, I was about to get a job at Sports Authority. I would be very upset right now if I knew my Sports Authority job was closing and I had no stock in it and I was just working there. Now I have to take my talents to South Beach. That is not the way. Fact, in my opinion, number three. Numero tres. Ownership equals equity equals money, which results in power. As you can see, public ownership, public stock is the wave, because public stock is the way that ownership money is passed on and off, is passed between you and I, and it's highly liquid and it's highly traceable. It's highly liquid, highly traceable, and it could appreciate at the snap of a finger. Straight up and down, it can appreciate at the snap of a finger. So public is the way to go. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody that does private, but I read in the entrepreneur book one time, and it said that if you want to ensure that you're going to become a billionaire, and if you want to ensure that you're going to do this, that, and the third, yeah, you want to go public. That is the way to go. When you have more access to capital, you can create products that will scale the economy, which you can create products that scaling means you can create the products for cheap and produce them for the masses, for mass amounts of people, where public is a little harder to do that. It's a little bit more stricter on the loan side. If you go to the bank for a private company, it's a little stricter on the loan side, whereas in the public company, you get a little bit more flexibility, a lot more leeway when you're doing things. So if you want to know more about public information, public companies and stuff, definitely check out Black Market Watch with yours truly. Definitely check that out, because if you want to step up your investment know-how, your investment terminology, and your strategies for attacking the public equity markets, you want to talk to Don Heavy and listen to when he talks to you, because he's going to tell you all the secrets of the game. Also, check me out on Money Talks also a Don Heavy original, where we talk about notable public figures and what they should be doing or what they have done with their finances, either the do's or the don'ts. A lot of don'ts, but we have some do's in there, and I definitely just did a New Money Talks on some of these notable rookies, talents that just went into the NFL before they signed that contract. Let's get them thinking the right way so they make sure that 20 years from now, they're not broke bumps. Period. Check me out on Snapchat, Don, that's D0N Heavy, the chosen one. And also check me out on Instagram at Heavy on them. Check me out on the next I Am Heavy Cash. It's your boy Don Heavy, you already know. One.
This program is brought to you by Her Pretty Ghost and Better New Business. Thank you for tuning in.